Poland, NATO's frontline shield, is striking back at what it sees as growing disrespect from its allies. Warsaw argues it carries the greatest burden in delivering Western aid to Ukraine, yet finds itself excluded from crucial decisions in Washington and European capitals. President Karol Nawrocki used his visit to the Rzeszów Jasionka hub to remind Kyiv and NATO that without Poland, Ukraine's war machine would come to a halt, and Europe's eastern flank would be dangerously exposed.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, this visit once again shows how much responsibility Poland has carried since the beginning of the Russian Federation's attack on Ukraine. More than 95% of all donations from more than 40 countries that support Ukraine come through here, through the logistics hub in Rzeszów, Jasionka. This also shows how, in terms of building responsibility for the Polish armed forces, Poland is making a huge effort.
Yet instead of gratitude, Warsaw hears demands. When Zelensky told Ireland that Europe must not run away from its values, many here saw that as criticism directed toward them, a nation that has sacrificed massively. The omission of Poland from his praise stings badly. In Warsaw's view, Ukraine is happy to rely on Polish roads, soldiers, and taxpayers, but unwilling to publicly acknowledge Poland's role as the lifeline of its survival.
Europe cannot run away from its own values, and Ukraine is doing exactly that today on Europe's behalf.
Poland's president is done being silent. Nawrocki insists on what he calls symmetry in relations, meaning recognition and political respect from Zelensky. He says there are unresolved issues Poland needs addressed and warns that the government's soft stance toward Kyiv risks diminishing Poland's national interests. The message, support must be mutual, not one way.
If we analyze the hundreds of thousands of donations that go in the humanitarian field in terms of military equipment, ammunition, if we see how great an effort the Polish people have made in helping Ukraine, it does not change. And what is our constant? Strategically, we also hope that President Volodymyr Zelensky, this seems to differ us with the government, will respect this effort of the Poles and will also open to some suggestions of the Polish state and express gratitude to the Polish soldiers, Polish citizens, and the Polish state in the strategic field. Support of Ukraine is, of course, what unites us. In contrast, I have consistently demanded symmetry in relations between Poland and Ukraine, and I hope that President Zelensky will visit me in Warsaw. We will have the opportunity to talk about it, because there are also issues that Poland has to deal with Ukraine.
That attack quickly expanded to a domestic battlefield. Nawrocki publicly reprimanded PM Donald Tusk, accusing him of insulting Polish dignity by suggesting Poland might pay its own WWS victims if Germany refuses reparations. The president framed it as historical betrayal, saying victims must not finance their own suffering. It's a clash not only over diplomacy, but over Polish pride, national memory, and who truly represents the country's interests internationally.
I do not know of such a solution to a historical or political problem, either in terms of decency or historical truth, in which the victims themselves pay for the evils suffered from the occupier and from the invader. So what Prime Minister Donald Tusk said in Berlin bothers me a lot, and I hope that Prime Minister Donald Tusk will apologize to the Poles for these words and say that this is just an expression of some misunderstanding.
And then came Tusk's admission, a reality check. The Polish Prime Minister confessed that Washington and Moscow both prefer Poland not to be involved in key Ukraine peace formats, a stark acknowledgement that Poland, despite being indispensable on the ground, is losing political relevance at the top table, a humiliation Nawrocki is weaponizing at home.
I don't want to stir up unnecessary emotions, but let's say that not everyone in Washington, and certainly no one in Moscow, wants Poland to be always and everywhere present. I take this as a compliment to myself and as a compliment to Poland.
This is the deepest European rift since the war began. Poland says it won't be a silent logistics base anymore. It wants influence, respect, and a voice in Ukraine's future. Zelensky demands more help from Europe, but Poland is asking, who helps us? As the war enters a critical phase, NATO must now contain not only Russia's aggression, but growing tension within its own most crucial alliance. If Poland changes course, Ukraine's lifeline could suddenly snap.